Hello. This is the first episode of the new podcast that I'm doing. I'm calling it Socially Simulated. We just had a Nintendo Direct. I've gathered here a panel to talk about it with me. I'm, of course, Brandon Bovia, who has nothing to do with video games. I work in the manga industry. And I'm just kind of here I just wanted to talk with my friends about the Direct. So I gave it branding, and that's what we do here. So I figure we should just I don't know, I wanted to go around and like introduce ourselves before we get into the big stuff, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So I figure Steven, introduce yourself. What do you do?
Hello.
Who are you?
I am Steven. I am currently on hiatus, but I do review games every once in a while. I am very excited to talk about this Nintendo Direct.
What website do you review video games for? And I don't know, actually, tell us what you reviewed recently, or like the last three.
Probably not the last three, but the one I'm currently making my way through at cubed3.com is One Piece Odyssey. And I will probably be going on to be reviewing Wild Hearts later this month.
Oh, I will be looking forward to that. All right, good stuff. I'm just going to go down the list here. Kirstin, introduce yourself. Who are you?
Hi, I am Kirstin.
Kirstin,
staff
I'm sorry.
writer at HardcoreGamer. Oh, no worries. It slips up all the time. Yeah, but staff writer at HardcoreGamer. Do all sorts of news, reviews. The last thing I reviewed was Fire Emblem Engage. Great game. I think I did Pokemon before that, so a little bit of a gap, but lots of fun things. Kind of going through Wild Hearts with a friend, or yeah,
Are you allowed to say that?
Probably.
Double check that. I will edit that out if you're not allowed to say you have it.
I didn't see the embargo rules, so that might be. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I'll hold off until I have an answer for that on putting this thing out. And then of course, last but not least, Jenny. Introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, I'm Jenny Geist, and I'm also I used to review games at Cube 3, also like Steven. Lately, I've been focusing more on my YouTube channel, where I do video essays about games and other nerdy things. My most recent gaming-related topic was a series of videos about Mario Kart Tour. First, a deep dive into that game's mechanics and how it's controversial and how some parts of it are decent, and then talking about how they removed the gacha from this game. So I like Mario Kart, but I also like a bunch of other things. I'm currently working on a game where I talk about licensed games from the modern Switch, PS4, Xbox era and how they've changed over the years. So that's what I'm doing right now. Big variety of topics.
Would you say Mario Kart Tour is good actually now?
I think so. It's not perfect, but I like it. I just like Mario Kart. I'm easy to please.
Good stuff. Well, I think, God, this Nintendo Direct, man, I don't know about y'all, but I was blown away. I thought it was pretty much one of the best ever.
I was working today. I got off work like 20 minutes or so after the Direct finished, and like I'm glad that I went through media blackout because this Direct was packed.
Yeah,
it would be super easy to spoil too, I feel like.
Easy to spoil, and it felt like so many just back-to-back hitters.
Yeah.
Particularly in the second half of the presentation, it just felt like being punched in the face over and over again. Not only were they announcing like things people have been wanting for years, like, well, we'll talk about it later, but like Game Boy on NSO and Metroid Prime Remastered, they were coming out like now. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that happen with any Directs.
Yeah, and I said in our group chat before we started recording, I'm like, this is the best, if not one of the best Directs we've ever had.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, I lost my mind multiple times.
Same here. It ruined me emotionally.
I'll be honest, I didn't even have much hope for it because the previous Direct was that one that just had a bunch of farm games. So I was like, okay, Directs are just kind of like, they don't feel like they had the impact that they used to. But then they saved it all for here, I guess.
Yeah. Seriously. So the way I wanted to format this sort of rundown for the Nintendo Direct is I figure like I got a list here on a Google Doc of pretty much everything that got announced, and I've kind of grouped it into first off things we can kind of just like rapid fire, and then maybe have shorter discussions on like a small handful of things, and then I imagine like longer discussions on the things we're really excited about, which we can, I don't know, I wanted this podcast to have some structure, but you know, it can also be loosey-goosey. So just real quick here, on the rapid fire stuff, chime in if you have anything to say about any of these games, by all means, please. So we got Samba de Amigo.
A game that was dead forever, but caught my eye because I'm just a sucker for rhythm games. But it's got a monkey, it's got the customization like Monkey Ball had, and I'm like, okay, I'll play funny monkey rhythm game.
Wait, does this have any connection to Monkey Ball? I'm not familiar with the series
I don't
at
think
all.
so.
Okay,
I thought it did when I played Sonic and All-Stars Racing as a kid. I'm like, is this like a Monkey Ball character I've never seen before? But then I've never played the Samba de Amigo games. I think I would like it because I love rhythm games. Part of me is a little bit sad because I literally just played Space Channel 5 for the first time like 2 weeks ago. And I was like if we're going to bring back Sega Rhythm series, can we bring that back too? But now there's precedent. So I can't be too sad.
Yeah, I am always down for a new rhythm game, and I was actually very surprised. This isn't the only franchise that was brought back from the dead in this direct, but I was very surprised to see it and look forward to playing.
Yeah. Next up, we got Fashion Dreamer, which Kirstin and I, we thought it was like a style savvy thing at first while we were watching the direct, and then it kind of turned out that it wasn't, but then it was. It turns out I have a note here that it was. Being developed by the actual style savvy developers, Sin Sofia.
That's what I thought, because I've always wanted to try the style savvy games because I've heard they're actually like genuinely good like fashion like, style games. But like when this came up in the direct, I was like, oh, style savvy, oh, it's some other thing, and I kind of zoned out because I was still thinking about one of the other previous announcements. But then looking, oh, it is style savvy. Okay, I might need to check this out. So.
There's something about style savvy that really attracts people because it's one of those games where I'm like, it seems like skewed towards like younger children, probably mostly girls. But then it's like I hear all these people, you know, adults, men and women both. It's like everyone is just super into it, and I'm just like, what is it about it that captures people?
What I did like is I thought having like these little like influencer elements was actually like a cute gameplay idea where it's like you have to like make your way like through this like sort of like online fashion scene. I like that in a digital sense. I don't like that in real life, but for a game, I think that's a neat idea to modernize the series. But otherwise, I don't have a lot else to say.
Did we get a date on that one? I didn't note it down if we did.
I don't think so.
Okay. I'll be on the lookout for that too then. Next up, we got the Dead Cells sort of Castlevania thing, which is two things I do not know very much about.
I suck at Dead Cells, but this DLC does very much interest me.
I love Dead Cells. I've played it quite a bit when it somebody who played on it. I don't think I ever beat the whole thing. But I have been very much itching to get back to it, and I think this DLC will do a lot to motivate me. I had a lot of fun with Dead Cells. Can recommend.
I also didn't write a date down for that either. I have like half the games here that I had to... I'm actually interested in this next one, Tron Identity, which seems to be a Tron visual novel. Hello?
Yeah.
Why not?
I love
Why not?
Tron.
Yeah.
The movies are... The first and second movie, I mean, there are only two, but they're great. They're so much fun, and it's interesting but bizarre. They're going the visual novel route, but I kind of also hope that they have like a mini game in there that's just like the original Tron game, because that would be funny.
Oh, that would be really cool. I have a like sort of maybe just like a general vibe. I feel like we're kind of maybe sort of in like a broader gaming discourse, kind of turning the corner on visual novels, where I feel like for a certain kind of section of people, it was always kind of that thing you treated as like a joke, like, oh, those weird people in the visual novels. But I feel like it is actually a really good platform for like a licensed game.
Oh yeah.
So like I want to see more sort of like Western developed unironic visual novels, because I think the irony is kind of, the joke is sort of worn out its welcome.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I don't know how much the Tron games connected to the movies, because I have not played all of them. I don't know if this will have any connection to the other two movies or Tron 3 that will be coming out later. But I'm definitely looking forward to it a lot. I am a big Tron fan.
Good stuff.
It'd be fun.
I'm actually kind of really interested in this next one, Disney Illusion Island. That's coming out July 28th, which looks like a sort of kind of a DKC, Donkey Kong Country kind of platformer almost.
The vibes it gave. The vibe it gave me was Rayman Origins and Rayman Legends.
I was thinking about Rayman too.
Yeah, and it's two things. For one, it's probable future content for me because I'm the licensed game person on YouTube. And two, like, this actually looks good. Like, I like that it uses the art style of those newer Mickey shorts because I think it has like a lot of personality there. And like, I'm not a big fan of the new Rayman games, but I don't dislike them. So seeing sort of a spiritual successor, because it's been like I think almost 10 years since Rayman Legends. So I think there's kind of a niche there. Yeah, it has been 10 years. So like there's a niche there that I think that could fill nicely. So I might check this out.
When I was looking at this game, I love the art style for it so much, and all I could think of was I would love if Nintendo tried to do this with Mario with the 2D drawn style.
Yeah, the animation looks so good too.
All the characters have like little quirks to their animations that looks fantastic. Donald in particular, he caught me because he looked so goofy and perfect.
Like, this is a topic for another day, but like a new 2D Mario is like the Nintendo game I want the most right now, I think. And like
yeah, I saw a lot of discussion about that. I mean, it was with the movie coming up and all that, it would be like, it would like a 2D Mario to go with it for, like the marketing. Like, if that makes sense.
It's also been 10 years since the last 2D Mario, New Super Luigi U, was 10 years ago. Yeah. So
wow,
we are way overdue for one.
We're way overdue. If they ever made one, I feel like the Disney Illusion Island is sort of like a good, like, just point to that and be like, all right,
literally,
see this, do that.
It's also worth noting that while this game does not have online co-op, it does have couch co-op.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's always a good plus.
Seems like a good family game to just play with like little siblings or something. It's something I might actually check out when it comes out.
Next up, we got Fire Emblem Engage has some DLC coming out. There's like an expansion pass. I'll be honest. I mean, I was watching this and I feel like I'm gonna say this and everyone's gonna be like, Brandon, you hate Fire Emblem, but like, no, my eyes glossed over a lot of this stuff. Even though I am playing and enjoying Engage, and I'm just I was like,
I just want to run down real quick the characters that we have coming. We have Hector.
Yes, please, because you got a list and I didn't put the list in.
We do very much have. We got Hector, we got Soren, we got Chrom and Robin together.
Good.
We got Veronica, who's from Heroes, which is kind of the first mobile crossover with the mainline games. And of course, we got fucking Camilla. Because of course, she's in everything. She's in everything. And I'm just like, of all the Fates characters, you couldn't have Azura. She's like, she would have been a much better choice.
You know exactly why you know what you did.
I know why, but I don't have to like it.
They needed to cancel out the gay energy from Chrom and Robin being in the same pack, so they were like, okay, let's do something that's cursed instead to make it.
Gotta do it for the
wholesome.
sickos.
I'd like to point out, I don't know why, but of all the characters on my list, Camilla's the only one whose name I capitalized.
She needs the room,
She did, apparently. There's also the story coming with it as well, called the Fell Xenologue, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I paid attention to that because you have a character that can finally turn into a dragon, besides using the Tiki DLC, which is really cool.
Yeah, so this will tie into the expansion pass. One of the gripes that I have with Engage is that the emblems aren't really a part of the story, and the bond conversations that characters have with them, at least for the first two, are a grand total of like 1 or 2 lines each. So while I am excited for more DLC emblems, unfortunately they're probably not going to be all that much prevalent in interacting with characters.
Oh no, and I dread to think the conversation you'll have with Camilla, to be honest.
I mean, it could be worse. It could be with your sibling. So, I mean,
she is your sibling.
Find out, well, she's somehow related to Atelier so they can keep that incest plotline in.
God.
Good.
Oh, no.
Anyway, all right. Next up, Octopath Traveler 2, which you got a demo shadow drop for that. Steven, you you said you played it, you downloaded it?
I have downloaded it on a different platform. This demo actually got dropped on PlayStation as well.
I'm sorry, on what?
PlayStation.
No, I'm kidding.
It was funny during our little pre-show. We were talking about how Octopath Traveler 1 was on Xbox, 2 is on PS4 and PS5. But I am looking forward to playing that demo quite a lot. I did enjoy Octopath Traveler 1 to a certain extent. Definitely looking forward to playing it later today.
Yeah. I feel like I'm not going to be able to get the vibe from the demo necessarily, because I put a lot of time into the first Octopath Traveler. I didn't finish it, and I thought it was fine with a sort of a laundry list of things that I wish they did differently. And I'm hoping that they'll do differently for the sequel. And I think, the demo for the sequel here could, I don't think I'll be able to understand fully until the game is out whether or not. They sort of addressed a lot more of my issues with it, and I certainly hope it is less grindy for one.
Yeah, that's completely fair, for sure.
Next up, then, we got Harmony: Fall of Reverie. I think we got, which is a new game from Don't Nod, or this Life is Strange people. Do I have that right?
That's correct.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that, because I'll be honest, this is one of those games where when it was on screen, I was busy talking about a different game that was just announced. So, well, now I want to rewatch the trailer now that I know that Life is Strange did it, because I do have a soft spot for those games. But
the art style caught my eye. It's a lot different because Life is Strange obviously is full 3D and everything, and this is more
the 2D stuff,
novel-esque.
Looks,
but
they have some sort of some nice animations going on in the character portraits. I don't know, it's a nice touch.
That surprised me because didn't look like a Don't Nod game at all. I think their previous thing was Tell Me Why, which is what I've heard really great things about. But
yeah,
that was another one that just looked like a real game, and now it's they're going for a more like I said earlier, more visual novel-esque style, which I'm glad that's being more normalized, because it's a perfectly valid way to tell stories.
Yeah, and it's definitely different for them to go the non-3D route, because they have this very distinct style for their 3D games. I'm curious to know what they'll do differently, because in my opinion, they've been rather hit and miss with their recent portfolio. I do like Life is Strange 1 and True Colors, though. I think those are my favorite games from.
I think the spot where it seems more interesting to me than Life is Strange is very much like you have a linear story and you can make choices along the way that alter it slightly. This game has what looked like to be a full tree of options that you go down, and it seemed like one where if you go down one path and you're like, I want to go back, it seems like you can go down a different path without having to start a whole new game over again, which is very appealing. That's
such a godsend, because I'm so hit or miss with games that have multiple routes. Sometimes, if they do it in a certain way, like how Nier does it, where they're one after another, I don't mind it. If it's where you do one route, you have to start from the beginning to do a different route, that's where I just don't care for it. So if you can literally just go back to the point where you make a choice and see what changes if you do the other choice very seamlessly, that sounds like the perfect way to do that. So I'm glad they're going in that direction this time.
Yeah, it definitely helps the replayability, because, like you said earlier, Kirstin, it's very linear based for the Life is Strange games. You're always going to end up in similar situations from other players, but you might actually diverge quite a lot in this new game.
Kirstin.
Yes.
Tell me about Fantasy Life.
Imagine a 3DS game where there's 50 different classes and a giant world you can just run around and do whatever you want in, and it's just adorable little chibi characters. And now we have a new one, and I'm emotional about it because it looks like a hybrid of Rune Factory and Animal Crossing, and I'm so ready for it.
The Animal Crossing vibes in that trailer were strong.
The moment they went up and they just chopped a tree down, I was like, all right, are you gonna whip up your shovel and get rid of that stump too? The room customization in the trailer, it seems very cozy, and I just want to know if there's online multiplayer, because that was such a fun part of the first game that'll just make this game.
Yeah, I never played the original Fantasy Life, but it was always one of those games as a huge fan of Monster Hunter starting on the 3DS. I was kind of like looking for other stuff that scratched that itch, and it looked like with the multiplayer aspect that it was kind of in that same ballpark. I don't know. What would you say about that?
On a much smaller scale, like you're not doing big fights like Monster Hunter is, but you know, the multiplayer vibe was very nice and cozy to it because you could run around being like a chef or whatever, ridiculous classes, and have a good time.
Yes, I do love ridiculous classes.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is that Fantasy Life thrived really hard in Japan, specifically because they had a super popular mobile game. So
oh wait, so it's sort of like my impression of Fantasy Life is that it has sort of been kind of dormant since the 3DS, but has it kind of been like silently, you know, still has a beating heart over in Japan?
Oh yeah, it was huge on mobile in Japan. Like I followed someone who played it with his daughter in Japan, and they just would go on and on about it, and it was massive.
Oh, that's awesome.
I want to say I think we got a mobile port here, but I don't think it did as well.
That would make sense considering, well, this is sort of like the sort of like B plot to this Nintendo Direct was sort of like the redemption arc of Level 5.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that, you know, that one didn't get localized considering that kind of blew up. Jenny, tell me about Bayonetta Origins.
I honestly have no idea what to make of that game yet because I love Bayonetta 2. It's one of my favorite action games, and I have yet to play Bayonetta 3, not because I don't want to, but just because I haven't had the time, basically. So, like, and apparently this does take more from the Bayonetta 3 version of that character, because it is apparently a different version of Bayonetta in that game, and this is like an origin to that version of Bayonetta. And apparently there is a demo to this Bayonetta Origins game in Bayonetta 3, but I have yet to play it. I got it actually for Christmas, and I've been so busy finishing all these other games and all these video projects that it's next to my plate, but I'm intrigued. Like, I really like the art style they're going for. I think it's kind of interesting. It's like a more like fairy tale looking game, like a very different in tone, which is probably what you should do for a spin-off. And I think it's just interesting to be seeing this more like whimsical but like dark fairy tale take on the series that is usually just a lot more like sarcastic and over the top is the best way to put it. So
it feels like Platinum's kind of really swinging for it with this one is the vibe I get. Like it I don't know, it doesn't really look anything else like their output.
Absolutely,
like a long lost Clover game.
I think what gets me is that when they announced it at the Game Awards, I'm like, oh, that looks cool, and I was just kind of assuming it was an eShop title. Then I saw it's a full $60 game, and that at first that threw me like, I don't know. But the more I think about it, I'm like, okay, maybe this is something like a truly different experiment with Platinum, because like God knows Platinum needs any help it can get. So it's like I'm not saying I'm like 100% on board, but I'm gonna give it a chance because I am intrigued by this direction for the studio.
Part of me kind of hopes that it gets like a regular eShop demo so people can try it out. I'm endeared by the art style, very much steered away from the price tag.
I think if they do a wide demo, it's like, even if it's the one from Bayonetta 3, I think that'd be kind of essential for this game to do well, because the Bayonetta 3 did well. It sold 1 million copies, but it also sold 1 million exactly and not anymore, compared to like Xenoblade, which is like closer to 2 million. So they really need to sell a spin-off of a game that's already kind of niche.
I hope at least in that context that they sort of have the proper expectations for it. But at this, $60, that is, it feels like just like that last little.
For
Platinum's
me,
weird.
I like the art style for it. It's definitely not worth the full price tag to me. I like the Bayonetta games a lot, but I can't really say that I play them for the story. And that seems to be what this spinoff is trying to add, which is fine. That's all well and good. So I'll definitely wait for reactions to come in before I consider making a purchase for it.
That's another element. Like Bayonetta's story is basically nonsense in the first 2 games. I don't know if it's different in 3, but like if you like pointed a gun at me and told me to describe the plot of Bayonetta, I'm just gonna be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, what if I pointed a gun at all of you and said, if I said the name Omega Strikers, Does that ring any bells at all from this Nintendo Direct?
I remember that we got a cat girl that leaned over a little too far.
Yeah.
Character-based air hockey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why not?
I was talking with you, Kirstin, about this off air, but like it feels I love the character designs and I love the energy of it, and I like air hockey. It's just these two things don't really go together. I don't know. It's just the sort of like over the top down camera angle really doesn't endear me to the characters at all. It seems like the wrong kind of game for what this is trying to be, but also it's just like one of those like, oh, okay, sure, why not?
The thing it really reminders of, is have any of you ever played Windjammers 1 or 2?
Yeah.
I know of it, but I have not played it.
That's the frisbee game, like
Yeah.
the intense overhead frisbee game. That's what this game really reminds me of, but obviously air hockey. But
Yeah.
I think it's going to do well because it has a really charming art style. It's got really creative looking gameplay where it seems like each character has like unique abilities too. I think it will thrive with a good online scene.
Yeah. Well,
that's
a little
I'm
worrisome.
definitely looking forward to trying it for sure. And I wonder if it will have some legs.
I checked the website and I'm feeling like an idiot for not writing this down. This might be free to play.
Oh,
I think it was. I remember seeing on the
Okay.
eShop earlier, and
They
it was.
I think it was kind of a mistake on the Direct. They said something on the lines of pre-orders are up for this free-to-play title or something along those lines at the end there. But I would imagine that it's a free-to-play game.
I think the thing for me is does anybody stan air hockey like as an activity? Is that like a thing anyone's like, oh yeah, I'm a huge air hockey fan. Like
Am I clamoring for an air hockey video game? Not really.
if my choices are like foosball and air hockey, it's going to be air hockey every single time.
that is true. I'm not saying like I like playing air hockey, but it's like I'm just like I'm sure this game will be good. I'm just kind of like confused by why it exists.
I think it'll get more support than Mario Strikers.
Oh, definitely.
Gotta.
Ouch.
I think adding waifus to anything is a net positive for the world. So like I'm not upset, and I'm just you raise an eyebrow and you're like, oh, why? You know what? Sure, why not? So just
Not
shrug my
only
shoulders.
waifus, but we also got giant buff ass hamster men, and I'm okay
Yes.
with that.
A lot of the guys look really good too. I see. I said waifus, but like it just has some attractive character designs in that video game about air hockey. I'm gonna need anybody, to explain what the Splatoon 3 DLC was, because I got
Okay.
all that went over my head.
You visit the original Decapolice from the first game, and then you get sucked into a white coral zone that looks creepy and interesting. And the
I got
only
weirdly
thing in
near
particular,
vibes from it.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought of the copied city when I saw that.
yeah, big near vibes. The one thing in particular I know is that apparently, if you get the DLC, you'll be able to change which hub you start as, or start at.
Yeah,
rather.
that was the hub from Splatoon 1, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's a pretty cool callback. And then you have Callie and Marie concerts during Splatfests. So
It's interesting because the whole hub part is like really cool fan service, but it's purely aesthetic, which I think is like a weird choice for DLC. Like, because obviously the big hook of this DLC is the order thing, because that's calling back to the Chaos versus Order Splatfest from Splatoon 2, and obviously Chaos 1, so we had like the whole like Mad Max theme for Splatoon 3. But now that they're not throwing away the order theme they're using that for the DLC campaign that's going to have Pearl and Marina. So I'm excited for that, because I love Octo expansion. The Splatoon 3 campaign is also really good. This is more of that, and they're going for this like dystopian near ass vibe. So
Why not?
I not much to say because they didn't show much, but that's obviously the hook of this DLC, and I feel like this Ingopolis is just a nice little bonus there.
I definitely want more reasons to go back and play Splatoon 3, because the time that I did put into it I really enjoyed, and maybe this expansion pass or expansion pack or whatever they're calling it will give me a reason to come back.
I agree. I put 100 hours in Splatoon 3 and then was like,
Oh my
okay.
God.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I need to stop so I can play other games because like I said earlier, I have too many games I haven't played. But so
That's
like,
the problem with online multiplayer games. That's why
Mhm.
I have so much stuff to play. I never really stick around with.
Yeah, but like this will be a good excuse to return. Like a new hub, I'm sure there'll be new stages and weapons by then, a new campaign with an entirely new aesthetic. So like, I'm glad they're keeping it up.
All right, I want to talk about part 2 to the level 5 redemption arc.
Oh
with
my
this
gosh.
game that came out of nowhere called Decapolice.
This was the first level 5 game that appeared, and it caught me right away. It just, first of all, it just reminded me so much of early level 5 games aesthetically, like Dark Cloud and Rogue Galaxy, which are both fantastic freaking games. It's supernatural detective nonsense. You turn into like a plush cat or something. Everything about it is beautiful, and I'm 100% on board.
I got sort of almost like Astral Chain vibes a little bit.
Oh yeah, the kind of futuristic
Yeah, sort of the
sci-fi police vibe.
future cop. No, it actually, this one looked genuinely interesting to me. It just in that, you get some sort of like Ace Attorney vibes from a little bit, but there's like a like a turn-based combat system to it.
I want this game so bad. If this is a return to form with like really creative original titles from level 5, I hope this game does well, because I want to see so much more of this from them.
I'm gonna be pushing for it for sure, if it's good.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
it's good.
The whole the end of this redemption arc has to be that like all these games they're working on have to be good. But it's a good showing overall. Either way, any of y'all got any comments about Decapolice? I already forgot the name. Before we move on.
I do not, because I've never played a level 5 game. Nothing against them, just haven't gotten around to it. So I don't have much to say yet.
I really like the art style of Decapolice. But it seems like it has a lot going on, so I'll definitely wait to see more from it before I look forward to playing it or not.
The the last on our rapid fire segment that took a half hour to get through is we got a new trailer for Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe, which had some kind of cool post game stuff added to it.
Mm-hmm.
Ginny, did you want to talk on that a little bit?
Oh, sure, yeah. So I had initially played Kirby's Return to Dreamland last year ahead of Kirby's Kirby and the Forgotten Land coming out. So when they announced this remake, I'm like, cool, it's a really great game. More people can play it, but I wasn't personally interested in buying it. But after seeing that little story episode they're adding, I'm intrigued, because Kirby lore is always wild. They're leaning into that. Magalore, I won't spoil, but he's got an interesting role in Return to Dreamland, and I think the fact that it's like 20 new levels and like these new mechanics where you can like upgrade your attacks and your mobility, that's really exciting. And that's on top of all the mini games they're adding, and the base game having like new copy abilities and just being really good. So I'm like, I might need to pick this up and play it again a year later.
Do we know if this game is going to have online co-op?
It does not. And that's the one thing that really just
Womp
hurts it
womp.
for me. Because if it was online, like if I would have gotten it day one, even if there was no new content. Like, so no online in a post 3D world is just that hurts my interest a little bit. But they win me back a little bit just by how pretty the game looks. Because I tried the demo before this discussion, and it's like one of the best looking like platformers on the Switch. Like a very smooth 60 frames per second. The backgrounds are very vibrant and detailed, and the characters kind of have this outline effect that reminds me of Smash 3DS, but I kind of like it. So no online sucks, and I might not get it right away, but I'm definitely gonna get this down the line.
I feel like Kirby tends to nail its visuals. It's not a day one pickup for me, but I'm absolutely going to get this down the line, because I loved what I played of this game on the Wii back in the day, and will be excited to like 100% it and go through.
Oh yeah,
everything.
I didn't mention, it's like, of the 2D games, it's probably my favorite. It barely beats out Planet Robobot for me. So I mean, the fact that more people can play it is just, I'm already happy about that in general.
It feels like if there was one Kirby game to kind of bring back, this would be the one.
Exactly.
Although I feel like, so I actually played the Wii version fairly recently with my girlfriend. That was a couple months ago, and I feel like I don't have a good vibe of maybe sort of like how the visuals have been touched up compared to because the original like still looks really good for a Wii game.
It does.
And I feel like I need to sit down and sort of like put them side by side.
It's one of those ones where I can't think of a good comparison offhand. Where it's like one of those remakes where you look at it and you're like, oh, it looks nice. You don't think it's a huge upgrade, but then you look at them back to back and see how much more detail there is in the backgrounds, and just also the fact that it's a Kirby game on Switch at 60 frames per second, which they haven't done yet. So
you know what? That's fair.
That is rare on the console for sure.
Yeah, especially these days. So.
All right, so I think that wraps it up for our very slow rapid fire segment. I'm trying to keep things moving here. Hopefully this podcast won't be too long.
Cut it down in post.
There is one more game that I think we should mention before we move forward on the.
Did I forget it,
list.
or is it not on any of the later stuff?
I don't think it is. There was a demo that released on Switch for Sea of Stars.
Yeah. Wow. Huh, I didn't put it on here. Yeah, that is kind of. I thought it was already on there. Yes. Sea of Stars is that it is a RPG that has a connection to the Messenger. Is it a prequel, sequel?
I can't remember. I think it's a prequel with inspiration from Chrono Trigger, if I remember correctly. But yeah, successful Kickstarter. I think the demo's just on Switch.
Okay, yeah, I know it's got. They tapped Yasunori Mitsuda for the soundtrack, and it looks very. It looks like Chrono Trigger.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're gonna have a big reference to something, why not? Take from the best. That is definitely a demo that I am personally really excited to try out.
It is currently downloading on my Switch as we speak, and I'll definitely be playing it later tonight for sure.
It's got a fishing minigame, so that makes it a successful RPG already.
I backed the Kickstarter for it at a level where I got the beta. Unfortunately, I missed it. So I feel like I missed out on it, because it was back when Discord used to have a shop and beta platform, which was
anybody remember that?
Quite a while ago.
Oh god,
yeah, that's how they distributed the beta for Kickstarter backers. But I'm definitely gonna hop on that train now, because that game looks very, very good, and I definitely want to see how it turns out.
We got a shorter list of stuff that I wanted to have kind of an labeled quote-unquote short discussion, but I feel like these are already going to take a little bit longer. The Direct actually opened with this one. It's Pikmin 4, which is releasing July 21st.
Oh, the most important thing we got out of this was Ice Pikmin, a blessing of a entirely new Pikmin, and then we got freaking Dog Bulborb. Adamantly, I will name it Pupman.
Because we didn't actually get a name for that lovely friend, did we?
I think it had one like briefly mentioned on screen, but I don't remember it.
I don't remember.
That was referring to the dog.
Yeah, I don't know if they give it a name. It might be on social media at this point. Nintendo likes to, add things later, but it looks so cool. It's like super strong, can carry like big enemies that you defeat, and
I like to think that Miyamoto walked into the room and said Pikmin 4 is gonna have a dog, and everyone just had to figure out what that meant and how they would do that. But it looks awesome.
No, you're absolutely right.
It almost reminds me of, this is a random comparison, but it reminds me of Plessy in Bowser's Fury. I just replayed Bowser's Fury. Like how like you have this like sort of transportation character that's around at all times that you can ride across these gaps in the water, and in this case it now has like a strategy element to it where you have this thing you can ride, or it can chauffeur your Pikmin, or it can grab something. Like it almost feels like instead of having a new Pikmin type, beyond the Ice Pikmin they added, like it feels like a substitute for another Pikmin type is just adding a dog who basically acts as like 10 Pikmin at once.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Pikmin as a series has always eluded me, so I think this might be my first foray into the series. I am looking forward to it quite a lot.
We've got 3 and 4 on Switch now, but not the first 2.
I mean, they're just dropping GameCube games on there now. Might as well put the first 2 on at some point.
We'll get to that.
They'll get there eventually, that's for sure.
What do Kirstin? We kind of popped off about this one. Etrian Odyssey Origins collection coming out June 1st.
god.
It's a collection of the first 3 Etrian Odysseys, if I got that right?
Yes, that is
For the
correct.
DS.
They are on the 3 or DS. They're ones that I've never played before. I've only played the Etrian Odysseys on 3DS, but this game looks fantastic. It has remastered artwork, remastered soundtrack, new difficulty options, and you can buy it as a bundle or buy them individually. It's the best of every world for this game. Plus touch controls on Switch, which is amazing.
I remember the big sort of discussion about whether or not they would like remaster or make a new Etrian Odyssey. You know, is that those games were so designed around the DS, where you're designing the map with the touch screen. So I saw a lot of discussion about whether or not like it would actually be able to make the transition gracefully. It seems like they're. I mean, of course, you can use the touchscreen on Switch, but there is actually like they have a pretty good solution for it.
Yeah, I think it looks like a very good compromise. You have like a little pop-out map menu that you can use to draw and, add notes and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it now. Yeah, it looks like they just kind of shoved a DS screen off onto the side that you can.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first when we started watching the gameplay, but then you see the menu pop out, and I'm like, yes, this works, and I'm satisfied with this. The map making might be a little bit slower paced if you're not using touch controls, but it doesn't matter. That was one of my favorite parts of the game, was just making maps and drawing out where I was going. So I'm just glad that it is there. It just looks great.
Yeah, and it looks like this version has a feature where you can they'll automatically make the map for you, and they have difficulty options for super babies like me.
Yes. Yeah, this is a game where you always want to start on the easiest difficulty because it will kick your ass, and it's not afraid to do so.
This series completely passed me by on DS, but this trailer definitely has me very excited. I think it looks great as someone who has never heard of it before. The idea of like making the map as you go sounds really interesting to me.
I should have put this on. I have the direct on another screen, and I did not put this game in the rundown at all. But Advance Wars lives.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's not on here. Oops. It's coming out April
It still
21st.
exists.
Advanced Wars was, I think, one of the only games in the Direct to get no gameplay whatsoever.
that's sad. I mean, it's sooner than I expected it to resurface. I thought they were just gonna drop it on the eShop in like a year from now and with no fanfare. So I'm at least glad that who made this again? It was Way Forward, right?
Yeah, Way Forward.
I'm glad their work's not just being buried, because I did feel kind of bad that they worked really hard in this remake, and now because of like circumstances beyond their control, literally no one can play it. So I'm glad that's changing. Otherwise, I don't have many thoughts.
The original release date for this, well, I remember it got delayed. It was supposed to be 2021, and it got delayed into 2022. And that date was like about a year. It was also like April 2022 or something like that. Or spring 2022.
It got delayed like 3 weeks before it was going to come out because of the unfortunate real world timing. So,
yep, it do be like that. I don't want to talk about this too much because somebody here hasn't beaten the game, but we got some juicy info on Xenoblade DLC.
I need to go to the bathroom, so you guys talk about that. Add me on Discord when you're done.
Obviously, there's like a new hero, and like her boobs are huge. Did I wrote that down in the rundown? But obviously, the story, the prequel.
Oh my god!
While we. A lot of people, including myself, would have loved an epilogue. I've always said that it's probably going to be a prologue of some kind.
Yeah.
But this trailer has just made me so much more excited than I would be for just an epilogue or a prologue. Sorry.
We got Shulk, we got Rex, we got motherfucking Alvis, and I'm so here for it.
Yes, dude. Rex got he chatted up. What happened to him?
They gave him facial hair too, and his hair I think got twice as spiky somehow. He really went heavy on the gel.
Yeah, I was when I got home and started watching the Direct, I immediately messaged you, Brandon. I was like, I saw Alvis and I immediately got chills.
Yeah, no,
it's crazy.
And then there's that sort of Gower Plains looking area that
they did so much for what amounted to a minute or less of actual footage.
I genuinely think since we got Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and DE, where they changed Alvis's to be an actual core and not just
Yeah.
his original key necklace,
Oh,
since
they've been
then
cooking.
people have wanted more Alvis because they wanted him to be more involved, and we are getting that, and it's so good.
I never thought this was the direction that they would take, but it just
No.
it makes so much sense. The lore is gonna be juicy.
I was
Boy.
absolutely apprehensive about a story about the founders from
Yeah.
Xenoblade Chronicles
Yeah.
3, but this it scratches that itch, and I'm still a little bit sad it's not an epilogue, but I'm excited for what this is. It seems way more than I anticipated.
They're going full fan service on it. At like,
Yeah.
you know what? If this is sort of the end of the trilogy, just go for it. Just go for it.
Honestly, the original
excited.
key art kind of told us that this was going to be very fan service like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
With all three of the main swords.
Yep.
You have the Monado, you have Pyra's blade, and then you have Noah's main sword weapon.
I'll let it slide that we don't get Elmo representation, but that's okay. We'll get that
There's time,
export
man.
eventually.
There's time. You never know. She could just she came up in 2 as the DLC, so she could just come out of nowhere and just just shoot Alvis in the head or something. I don't know.
That's exactly what we deserve, honestly.
All right. So speaking of monolith soft,
Goodness.
This one was rumored, and I don't know about y'all, but I thought this was complete BS. But it turned out to be real, and it's Baten Kaitos 1 and 2 remastered coming out this summer.
I 100% thought it was total BS because it just, of all the games to come back, I wanted it, but I was like, I want it. There's no way it's gonna happen. This is ridiculous.
And so I think if I have this right, these are basically like card battling RPGs from the GameCube. Is that sort of the
Yes, I know they're on
broad
GameCube.
summary?
Card battles. I don't know much about the combat, but it looks good. It looks like a GameCube remaster. It's they didn't do much for the visuals, I assume, besides amping them up a little bit, but it still looks really interesting.
In my sort of preliminary research about this game, I saw that it was directed by Masato Kato, who was like his writing credits include Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, and Xenogears, which just feels kind of like I should play this.
Yeah, very much so. It feels like a story that seemingly got overlooked on the GameCube because I don't think it had amazing sales. So this will be one that really draws some eyes since it has Monolith's name attached to it.
Yeah, another series that I have never heard of before, but it's RPG card battling, which I very much love in a lot of games. So it's definitely at least a style of game that I would be very down to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually got a little rundown here from of course it's a Wario 64 tweet, but on Bandai Namco's website we got like the full rundown of RPG remaster creature comforts. So we got encounter toggle, auto battle, cutscene skip, auto save. It looks like there's a Japanese voiceover only. I don't know if the original releases had a dub. Should be a good time. I'm excited. I don't know anything about these games, but
Ooh, okay. This is not related to Baten Kaitos. But I just found out, Brandon, you and I checked out the Japanese Direct briefly.
Oh yeah, I forgot to put these on too. I'm an idiot.
And there was a game in there called Paranormasight. And
Yes.
I actually just received the PR email for that, and it is getting
let me have it.
localized. Yep.
Yes.
It is coming.
And so the sort of this was like a horror game from Square Enix.
Yeah, like a
the
horror
gist of it.
visual novel sleuth kind of looking game. It was very bizarre. I'm surprised they didn't put it in the English Direct. They put 2 games that are getting localized, not in the English Direct, which is a weird choice. The other one was the Atelier remake or remaster.
Seems like a remake of the original. I don't want to speak out of turn. I think PS1. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, Atelier Marie.
Yes, thank you.
So.
And that one just straight up got like an English promo tweet from Koei Tecmo, and I was like, "Why weren't you in the Direct? What are you doing? What are you doing?" Okay, just a few more here in this segment. Ghost Trick.
Yeah.
Ghost
Oh my god,
There-
Ghost
there-
Trick is alive and well.
There are 2 points in the direct where I audibly reacted to something, and the second one we'll get to in a second. But the first one was just me being like, "Ghost Trick."
Yeah.
They brought that back.
Oh,
I haven't played it. I just know that it's a really rare and hard to find and expensive game.
It absolutely is. And there's a part of me that's sad because I had a copy that I gave to my friend and I never got it back.
Oh, unfortunate.
I've been there before though. I once had a copy of Thousand Year Door that I gave away, and now that's really expensive.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I feel your pain.
God, Ghost Trick, I just can't believe that Capcom finally listened to our pleas, our desperate cries, and said, "We will bless you with this game because you have waited so patiently for so long."
Do we know a release date for it?
the summer 2023.
Yeah,
Okay.
vague summer release, but
Yeah.
that's summer is kind of packed based on a lot of these
Really,
releases.
yeah,
so
there's a
far.
lot of summer stuff here. Sort of, I could see why Nintendo's kind of like, E3, don't need you. But for anybody who doesn't know what Ghost Trick is, this is a DS game from Shu Takubi, the a director, I want to say writer as well, of like the first few Ace Attorney games.
Correct. Yes.
Yes, and so it's sort of like a it's like a mystery adventure game. You're dead. You can possess objects and interact with those objects to sort of prevent deaths, solve mysteries, that kind of thing. I think it is one of the best games on the DS.
I would
So I'm
strongly agree with that.
very excited to see it back. I'm just, I cannot wait.
I will say, if anyone has never played this game but knows Shu Takumi, he does put Missile in the game because he always puts Missile in the game if he can. His beloved
Very good.
dog.
Yes,
Rest in
Aw.
pieces, but
one of the best
wonderful.
characters into the game, in fact,
Yes.
is his dog.
Yep. A key character that's just a delight. It's a fantastic game.
The only connection that I have to this at all is Ace Attorney. So I'm familiar with some of his other work.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to this based off of that because I really enjoyed. I've only played the first couple
Mhm.
Ace Attorney games, but I enjoyed them immensely.
The writing for this game is right on point with Ace Attorney. It's just brilliant and comedic and fantastic.
That might be like just straight up other than the Xenoblade DLC stuff, like Ghost Trick was the number 2 thing I popped off for.
Absolutely.
It's I'm so excited. Next up, I want to talk about We Love Katamari Reroll.
Yeah.
I didn't see this coming at all.
Me neither.
No.
And I love Katamari, and I've never actually played this one, so I'm really excited for this one.
It felt like this was just a matter of time because we had the first Katamari, and this is the one, from what I've heard, that everyone loves the most. I had a friend that literally messaged me, is like, "This is my favorite game, period," and finally it's being ported. So high praise coming for this one.
Have you played it?
No, I myself have not played it. I've played a bit of the first Katamari and enjoyed it, but this one is the one that everyone talks about as like the Katamari game to play.
I played Katamari on PS2 as a kid and really enjoyed it then, and then I rediscovered it on Switch when they did the port and also thought it was great. So I just was hoping they would eventually get to this one as well, because I have also heard it's even better. So not a ton to say on this one. I'm looking forward to it.
I don't know if we got a date for that one either. I also foolishly did not
Let me
jot it down.
check. I don't think this one has this one. Oh, June 2nd. June 2nd.
June 2nd. All right.
Oh,
Another
that's
summer.
a great time to release. Okay, why do they keep releasing these Katamari games in like the most busy times? Because the first one released the same day as Smash Ultimate. This
Oh,
one
yeah,
releases
you're
the same
right.
week as Street Fighter 6 and
Oh,
Final Fantasy
no.
16 and Diablo 4. So
Jesus.
Yeah, June is packed with
that only
releases.
just now hit me. Oh my god, they Namco.
They picked a month, that's for sure.
Somebody get delayed. I don't care which. Just I cannot play all these games.
Let games breathe, please.
Yes.
Mhm.
Metroid Prime.
Yeah.
I don't know.
God, that
I have been waiting so long for a Metroid Prime remaster, either a trilogy package or just the first game to start off. I cannot wait to play this tomorrow.
This looks like the best version of Metroid Prime.
I
It's
hope
gorgeous.
so much that this means that 2 and 3 are also getting equal level remasters, because that would be the best way to just play through this series before 4 comes out.
Yeah.
We need it to be this
Yeah,
beautiful
I
across
feel like
the
they
board.
could do such a good build up to it too. Just like release Prime 1, then Prime 2, then Prime 3, then Prime 4. Like
You have the Summer Direct with Prime 2, then you got the September Direct with Prime 3, and then next year you have Prime 4. Like, just bada bing, bada boom. And like, this has got to be one of the best looking games on the Switch. I mean, I know people say that about a lot of games, but like, this is such a larger glow up than I would have expected, because I would have just expected like another like Twilight Princess HD type thing where it's like, oh, they made it technically into 1080p, and
as
like,
far as
nope.
Nintendo goes, it really feels like one of the best looking remasters that they've ever done.
And I did hear from people who have already played it and looked at the credits that it is being done in house at Retro. So I think that would partially explain it, because we have a U.S. studio who's like, Japanese studios can make games that look good, but
Yep.
like, this one feels like it's done with a different sensibility than most Nintendo remasters. That I think is part of why it looks so like amazing.
If it's being done in-house, I really hope that means that we'll get 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if Prime 4 looks as good as this, or like if this is the baseline, I think we're gonna be eating good.
And I mean, if we get Prime 2 and 3, then we'll have literally every Metroid game on Switch except for Other M. So who knows if they'll do that? But
There's still
like,
time. There's still time.
but who knows if they'll do that? But like, because of the thing we're talking about later, every Metroid game except for 2, 3, and Other M are on Switch now. And
Yeah.
I also should note that this was the second thing in the direct that made me audibly react when they said, like, today. I was like the way they were showing it was very similar to how they show off all the other shadow drops, and I'm like, there's no way this is shadow dropping. And then they did
No
that, and I was
way.
like, what?
Yeah, they put the graphic up for most of the other announcements. They put the graphic up and then immediately put the date on there. They waited for the narrator to almost finish saying the date to then put the date on screen.
Oh,
It's like, they're going to shadow drop it, aren't they? And they did.
Also, just the fact that it was in the headlines. This isn't an announcement you put in the headlines. This is like how you start off a direct, but they just threw it out there.
Nintendo said we're gonna shadow drop it, sell it for $40, and see ya. It's not important.
I guess just 2023 is the year of the shadow drop, like AAA, AA release, because we had Hi-Fi Rush last month and now Metroid Prime this month.
I think if you're making like a schedule of like video games you're going to play in any month, you should just like throw it out in the trash right now. Like,
basically, yes.
we're just gonna something will get thrown a wrench into the works like every month. Okay, so these are the 3 topics that I marked as the big boys. We've been going for about an hour here. I imagine we could probably talk about this for slightly longer, but
I actually want to slip one little thing in here real quick.
yeah.
Just to comment on the third and final level 5 game that was shown off, because I think
Oh,
they
I
missed
didn't
that
put
one.
that in here either. I'm
Professor
a fool.
Layton and the New World of Steam. We just got
Yes.
the quickest little teaser, but I'm very excited for a new Layton game.
Again, the climax of the level 5 redemption arc.
It's insane. This is the time when level 5 gets to finally shine after such a rocky few years.
I've never played a Layton game, but I don't know. I love a good redemption story. I love a good like, oh, they're back, but hopefully it's great.
And that was another one of those announcements they just like slipped in. Like, literally, like, I forgot what just ended. It was like a sizzle reel or something, and they were like,
Yeah.
oh, here's Layton game, and it has beautiful graphics, and
It was one of the last announcements of the direct.
Yeah, I'm happy for fans of the series. It's another one I haven't checked out yet.
Let's talk about Game Boy games.
Yes,
Because this was also weirdly one of the most hype parts of the direct. I'm going to go down the full list of this one. The sort of basic gist of it is that Game Boy games are for all ADSO subscribers, and we got Game Boy Advance for the expansion pass.
Yes.
So on Game Boy, we've got Alone in the Dark, Game & Watch Gallery 3, Gargoyle's Quest, Kirby, the original one, which has a title I forgot. Link's Awakening DX, Metroid 2, Return of Samus, Super Mario Land 2, Tetris, and Wario Land 3. And then on Game Boy Advance, we have Kuru Kuru Kurudin, Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, which
Yes.
Mario Kart, Super Mario Advance, Super Circuit. Thank you. For some reason, I thought that was wrong. Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Brothers 3, and the original WarioWare, which couldn't have asked for a better launch lineup.
Fantastic lineup. I just gotta say, applause for pulling out Kuru Kuru Kurudin without slipping up.
Oh, it's that the intermediate Japanese speaker in me.
Oh yeah, it's a tongue twister of a title.
Yeah, that is a game. Just to side tangent, like I've heard the title before, but I had no idea what it looked like until the direct.
I had only known of it from the assist trophy that I had in Brawl, but from what I've heard, it's like another one of those really hard to find, like expensive games. So I'm glad that was one of the first ones they included.
It's an underrated part of NSO, honestly.
I am very happy that we are finally getting Game Boy and Game Boy Advance on NSO.
And I feel like it's a good split too. Like GBA for its expansion pack feels about right.
It does. It feels really good. This was easily one of the things I was most excited for because Game Boy was basically the system that I played on most. From Super Nintendo to GameCube, Game Boy was my passion. So I'm ready for all these games to be coming out and ones that I've never played before. It'll be great.
And what's great is that I messed around with the emulation a little bit, like before doing this, and like it's really good quality. Like there's options to like add like a filter that like makes it emulate the GBA screen, or you can make it the original pixel count where it's like a slightly smaller, but it's not like stretched out at all. And you can switch between the North American and PAL versions like straight from the app. You don't need to download two apps, and like
oh, you can? That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so
I think you
it really feels like
N64 too.
Oh, you could? Okay. Well, I'm glad that's an option.
It could be wrong.
And I only want to mess around with so far a Super Circuit just to get a little bit of a feel for it. But like the ones, it's a small lineup so far, but the ones they've promised are all like gonna be really big when they happen. Metroid Fusion is amazing. Fire Emblem from GBA is gonna be. I'm gonna check that out, I think.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the Superstar Saga is like a 15-20 hour game. Like that'll last you a while. And is also IMO like the best game in the lineup.
And Golden Sun, they have like another RPG on there.
Oh yeah, Golden Sun's coming, and not a part of the launch lineup, but like it really feels like they're sort of yoinking everything that was from like the GBA Virtual Console on Wii U, and was just like, all right, everybody come eat.
I feel like this has been one of the things that we were like, when is this going to come? When are we getting GBA or Game Boy NSO? And we're finally getting it.
Yeah,
and I feel like the launch lineup is very good to start with.
I feel like the narrative on NSO has, ever since N64 came out and ever since they kind of smoothed out the bugs, like the narrative has kind of flipped a little bit, because when it was just NES and SNES, it was like you're gonna get like 4 games that nobody's ever heard of, and then they're just gonna, that's it for the next like 4 or 5 months. So because N64, like you could put all of the best games in that console's library on the app, and like that, I don't think anybody would complain, and I don't think anyone expected like GoldenEye or anything like that, but we got that. I think with GB and GBA, like we could just get all the hits, like it feels like the service is more focused now.
I think the timing is perfect too, because this was just me, but when they first had the expansion pass and it was $50 for literally just N64 and Genesis games, I had no interest. I thought it was way too much for that. But then when they added on Mario Kart, I'm like, okay, like the combination of Mario Kart DLC for free and these retro games, that made it worth it for me. And we're coming up on a year since then, and they just dropped this now. It's like, okay,
it's been getting better and better, honestly.
Yeah, it has been getting better and better. It's really been like a redemption arc for them. And the nice thing now is I think it makes sense to end it off with Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, because there's just so many Game Boy games that they could pretty much just, if they do one game a month, they can go on for at least like 2 years. And that's not even talking about like whenever they add Pokemon, that's basically as huge as releasing a new game.
I feel like
Yeah, no
Pokemon's gonna be in
kidding.
the back pocket. We have the Pokemon Presents at these like the end of the month. You said.
Yes, it'll be on Pokemon Day, which is the 27th. So
Yeah, not to say like I'm not gonna predict that they'll drop them there, but because one of the other games in the lineup was like the Pokemon TCG game, so I feel like
Yes.
that sets the precedent that they are cool with putting Pokemon games
Well,
on
wait.
the.
Okay, the gears in my head are turning. They announced Pokemon Stadium for N64
They sure
NSO a
did.
while ago, and
They sure
that's the
did.
only one of that lineup that has not shown up yet. So
Mhm.
if they want to announce like they're starting off with Red and Blue on NSO alongside Stadium in like March, and then like over the next year they're going to add Gold and Silver and Ruby and Sapphire and what's the Fire Red and Leaf Green, like that. That I think that would draw more buzz than your average Nintendo game announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me think of how like nobody cared about Game Boy Virtual Console on the 3DS until they added Pokemon like 2 years before the console before the end of the life.
Yeah, it definitely does a lot to bring life to the hype and discussion around what a GB and GBA legacy package could be, or legacy
Yeah.
value add.
Because I was just thinking earlier, like as I opened up the GBA app, I'm just thinking like there are so many GBA games that I would love to play on here, like or Game Boy games as well. Because there's DK94 and Mario vs Donkey Kong; those are both really good, and they're adding Amazing Mirror, but they can also add Nightmare in Dreamland, the better remake of Kirby's Adventure, or
Ooh.
like any of the Kirby random Game Boy games, or any of the random Mario spin-offs. Like there's literally so many things I can add, and they've barely even scratched the surface in the ones they've announced so far.
And then there's the some of the stuff on like the Japanese lineup, which is nice because you can just make like a Japanese account and download the NSO apps for the Japanese region. But like it'll if you boot those apps with your account that's actually paying for NSO, like you could play games from the other region's apps is basically what I'm saying. And
Could you actually do that without having to pay for NSO on your Japan account?
Yes.
I do it all the time. Yeah, I have all of the
Really,
Japanese apps
I didn't know
downloaded.
that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And so the cool thing about that is I didn't look at the entirety of the Japanese lineup, but I know that they're getting Fire Emblem 6, which is the unlocalized one that features Roy. That was shown in the Japanese direct, and then there was the for whom the frog the frog game that's kind of like Link's Awakening,
Yeah.
the Kaeru no Tameni Kane wa Naru, that one.
I will genuinely be excited to try that out in the Japanese NSO. So
Yes, same.
Yeah, now that I know that I don't have to pay for it again on a Japanese account, I'll definitely be looking into that.
All I'm saying is
Yeah.
that
Sure.
Japanese N64 NSO has custom robo. Thank me later.
You have just sold that idea to me right now. I want them to bring back custom robo so bad. Anyway,
Yeah. So the quick question I wanted to ask the panel here is Game Boy or Game Boy Advance. What is one game you'd want to see on
That's a
the
good
service in the future?
question.
For Game Boy Advance, the first game that ever made me cry was Sword of Mana. I would love to see that on Game Boy Advance NSO. It's kind of a controversial game because a lot of people really, really hated it. I never really understood why, but
Is that the remake of the? Or
Yes.
No, am I thinking of the other one?
it was technically a remake of the first Seiken Densetsu game, which was
Gotcha.
Final Fantasy Adventures here.
Yep.
But it had split storyline with two different characters, and it was just phenomenal.
Ooh,
So
man.
that's my big want.
That's a good pick.
I have a practical want and an impossible want, and the impossible want probably isn't what you think. My practical one is I think we already have Sega Genesis games on there. I think we should get like Sonic Advance because I've heard really good things about those, and I would love to be able to check those out. My impractical one is actually the Game Boy Advance version of Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories because
Oh my god.
the PS2 version of that game is trash, and I've heard the Game Boy Advance version is actually pretty decent. So
Yes, it is. It's fantastic.
that's my pie in the sky one. It's never going to happen. They're never going to re-release that version because of the stupid PS2 one exists now. But that's my pie in the sky hope.
yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, they have the cloud versions of the Kingdom Hearts games, and Chain of Memories is on that list, so I don't think we will get.
Ugh.
That would also be a great choice. I don't think that's gonna be added.
I think Chain of Memories on the cloud on Switch sounds like the worst gaming experience. Just the single worst one you can play.
Why would you?
So I would. There's a lot of games on GBA that I missed out on. I would honestly have to make a initial push for Sonic Advance. But for a pick that hasn't been said yet, it's going to be a long time before they get there if they do end up trying to release the Pokemon games on NSO. But my first Pokemon game was Sapphire. So if they ever had Ruby and Sapphire, I'd be down for that.
Absolutely. I hope we get to Pokemon. They
I
gotta.
hope so. I hope they don't wait 2 years again like they did last time. Like, I hope you all are right, and Pokemon Day does have, like, at the very least, have, like, Red and Blue in, like, this, like, right now, and then maybe, like, in September they drop Gold and Silver, and then, like, a year from now they drop, like, Ruby and Sapphire. Like, just don't make us wait 2 years again.
The only thing I'm curious about is if they would treat them like special virtual console games like they did on 3DS, because
they would
those
have
games
to have Pokemon Home compatibility, right?
it wouldn't necessarily need home compatibility, but how they differed was on 3DS you didn't have the save states. You could only use the in-game saving. So I assume that they might be caveats on NSO and not have the rewind functionality or the save states either. But it might be a trade-off if they connect to Pokemon Home. So I'll still take it either way.
Oh yeah, that's one of the thoughts I had earlier. Are they going to? I mean, the first if there's 2 if questions. If they go ahead and like progressively add each Pokemon generation, are they going to integrate those with Pokemon Home?
I would hope so.
I would hope so.
Because didn't they do that with the 3DS?
Yes.
They did, yes.
With Pokemon Bank? Okay.
It worked weird because Pokemon Bank was clunky with those games because you have like different boxes and you had to choose them and it was a pain in the butt.
Oh, that sounds awful.
But I think it would be better integrated with Home because Home is so much easier to use in every way.
And also like the eShops are closing like I think at end of this or end of next month, so it would be the perfect time to put them on NSO and make it home compatible. And just
yeah,
I don't want to get my hopes
up. That's a good point.
Yeah, my weird pick is and they probably would localize it, but I want to play Tomato Adventure.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yes,
which is
absolutely
a Japanese only Game Boy Advance game made by Alpha Dream, who made Mario and Luigi, and so
it was the beta Mario and Luigi.
Yeah, it's basically beta Mario and Luigi, and I've heard it is weird and wacky, and it has a fan translation out there somewhere, but you know I feel like I could clumsily just like fall my way. My Japanese is probably good enough that I could probably play it.
If they add Tomato Adventure and it's localized, I think we should be obligated to all come back and do a podcast where we play the game and talk about it. We need the Tomato Adventure episode.
I would be 100% down for that. That game.
I'll play the fan translation anyway. Yes. Adventure podcast. Why not?
Oh yeah, the art style is definitely Mario and Luigi.
Yeah.
Superstar Saga.
You can see how Nintendo would be attracted to that and be like, oh yeah, we want you to do this, but Mario.
And also with GBA on NSO, you might not be able to play it in English, but you could probably play Mother 3 at some point.
Yep, they got it.
I don't think they'll ever add Mother 3. Well, they might.
They could add it to the Japanese.
Yeah.
It was on Wii U Virtual Console in Japan.
Okay.
So it's
like I'm not saying they're gonna localize it, but like they're not
going to. I don't know. I wouldn't be willing to put money down that they don't add it to Japanese NSO, but
I think it's pretty likely at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have they ever added Earthbound Beginnings to any of the NSOs, or did they only add Earthbound?
So I think Earthbound
Okay,
Beginnings.
No,
is on it, so-
Earthbound Beginnings is on NSO. Yeah.
Okay,
okay,
so
cool.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
Mother 3 is going to be on there in Japan, not
well.
anywhere else probably.
Yeah. Okay. We gotta wrap up here soon. We got 2 more topics left I want to talk about. And oh my God, Jenny, I'm so glad you are here. Please talk to me about Mario Kart.
Ooh, yes, the Yoshi course. I've been like, don't get me wrong, I've really enjoyed the booster pass so far, but as far as their original courses go, like Ninja Hideaway was really good, and Sky High Sunday sucks, and Merry Mountain was like the exact in between, and like it feels like this Yoshi's Island course is the first one they've added that feels like, yes, this is a true Mario Kart course. It's not like a thing from Tour that only really works in Tour and didn't work in the consoles. This feels like an original course made explicitly for 8 Deluxe, and I think it looks delightful.
Yes.
I think, like, I mean, Yoshi's Island on the SNES is like obviously a beloved game, and this is taking so much from that visually. Like, if you just pause at the beginning, you see the Shy Guys on stilts, you see the little like chicken guys that walk around. I don't even know what they're called, and the coins are the ones from Yoshi's Island, and they play the sound effect from Yoshi's Island when you pick them up.
Oh, that's
And
good.
at the end, there's like the little like question mark, like clouds that you go through, and it makes a shortcut show up, and it's like, okay, this is like a massive love letter to the series, and
Mhm.
I'm glad they are going all out with it.
To answer the name of those little bird guys, they're more like little wobble things, but they're called Huffin' Puffin.
I love it.
Is this the first brand new DLC course?
I believe so, because I think the others were from Tour or returning.
Well, actually, so the thing is, actually, so Ninja Hideaway was in Merry Mountain. Both are from Tour. For some reason, they're not listed as Tour tracks in the game. And Sky High Sunday was added to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe 3 days before it was added to Tour. So,
I'll take it.
Oh,
Like-
really? Wow.
yeah, so in this case, the Yoshi one, this is the first time they've revealed it like significantly before it was going to be in Tour, because
Yeah, and it doesn't
the-
look like it's like a tour track adapted to be a Mario
yeah,
Kart
it
track.
probably will be in Tour also. It's probably like technically behind the scenes at Tour track, but this is the one that feels the most like it's an original course built for the DLC that also might happen to be in the mobile game.
We also have to put a major comment on the fact that Birdo and other characters will be coming to the
Mhm.
DLC.
They're finally, the worst part about Mario Kart 8, they're finally doing something about it.
And-
that roster.
I'm so glad they added Birdo. She has multiple color variants like Yoshi
Yes.
does, which is cool.
Mhm.
It's great.
And I actually have a theory. I think, for one, I think Pauline is going to be in Wave 6. I just think that's a guarantee. Like, just write it in the books now. Last
Easily.
Wave's going to have the most, like, wanted character. And I think Wave 5 is going to have Diddy Kong. And one of the courses in that wave is going to be either DK Mountain from GameCube or DK Summit from Wii. So they're going to have, like, a Donkey Kong character course.
Wait, have we not have either of those courses already in the game?
Not yet, no. They have the DK Jungle one, but not the Mountain one from GameCube.
Oh.
I know. And both of those courses have pretty elaborate remakes in Tour, which is a pretty good indication that they'll be in the booster pass. So
All right, interesting.
The best thing they can do for this game is, one, give us Pauline, and then boom, baby Pauline.
Oh dear.
Although, okay, there's one other possibility besides Pauline being in Wave 6, and that's Funky Kong in Wave 6. I think they're going to end on either Pauline or Funky Kong. The two characters I know that people will lose their minds over. I think it's
I
gonna
would lose
end
my
on
mind
one
over
of them.
Funky Kong. Bring him back.
I mean, and if they want to save like DK Summit for Wave 6 to have Funky Kong in it, I think that'd be a good fit, but we'll see.
Mm.
And one more thing is that they didn't give a time frame for this one, but I'm betting on April, because in Mario Kart Tour, so basically every time a booster wave has come out, the next tour in Mario Kart Tour has had the new course from that wave. So they did that with Ninja Hideaway, which was returning. They brought it back in Tour shortly after Wave 1. Sky High Sunday showed up 3 days after Wave 2, and the first tour after Wave 3 was Merry Mountain. So I'm thinking every year around Easter time they have a Yoshi tour. So I think it'll be around April, like sometime like mid-April around Easter, when we'll see Wave 4, which happens to be when the Mario movie comes out. So there's your free Mario Kart promotion right there.
What if they have like the because they have that segment in the Mario movie trailer where they're playing Mario Kart. What if they put that in
Oh
as
my
the
gosh.
DLC?
That
would be some
that would be
crazy
cool.
cross promotion kind of stuff.
And I mean, if they want to add more characters that are like a surprise, because I mean, for all we know, Birdo is not even the only character in Wave like 4. Like they said she's in there,
Yeah.
but they didn't say she was only like for all we know. Because I mean, more conspiracy talking, but the
Let's get into it.
like the character select screen in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is organized like 6x7, and it'd be really weird just to have like one extra character on there. But if there's 3 waves left and they added 2 characters with each wave, they'll add another column to the roster. And they could have Birdo for the Yoshi course and Pauline, because I'm pretty sure she has a cameo in the movie. Like then they could do like whenever they add a DK course, they could add Diddy Kong and Funky Kong, and then they have 2 extra slots to add like whoever they want to add, like I don't know, PD Piranha or King Babam because they're in tour. Like
Baby Rosalina, I'm telling you.
I'm
Pauline.
actually I'm surprised we didn't get either, if it's in Mario Kart or something else. We actually didn't get a single mention of the Super Mario Brothers movie or any cross promotion.
They had to have something in their back pocket for that, right? Like,
yeah.
Or is the Mario movie just gonna come out and Nintendo's like, all right, see ya? You know?
Well, it's interesting because the Mario movie, like they announced the cast there, and they had like a direct for the trailer. I almost wonder at this point if Nintendo's just like, okay, it's out of our hands. Let's let the big movie studio handle most of the marketing at this point. Like they got the enthusiasts in with the directs, and now they're just like, okay, Universal, you do your thing.
We got to talk about Zelda.
Yes,
Of course.
We got to talk about congratulations to Tears of the Kingdom. They finally released a real trailer for it.
They did.
Yeah.
after being announced in 2019. And I feel like there's a lot to talk about. I don't know where do we even start with this? Jesus.
There's a freaky new flying thing.
Yes,
There's a lot of flying stuff.
And I don't know what that thing is. I couldn't tell if it was a pre-existing enemy that they just, reworked or what, but that thing was freaky. But I know
like
that
I'm just gonna pull up the trailer and go
I've got the trailer up right now.
Yeah, we have. I mean, for one, we have new enemies finally. That was one of the biggest problems with Breath of the Wild, and in this trailer,
enemies we got regular Stalfos. I believe I saw just like plain Stalfos, not like the skull bokoblins and everything. We got like the fat bokoblin who looks hilarious.
Yeah, definitely. I'm off and on playing through Breath of the Wild now before
for the first
Tears
time,
of the
right?
Kingdom. And yeah, I'm coming back to it after like about a year and a half without having played it. And one of the complaints I did have with it, or do have with it, is the lack of enemy variety. So I'm very happy that this trailer kind of eases that critique.
Oh yeah, there's a big boss that's just made out of boxes.
Yeah,
like
sure.
It's like, okay, they're getting kind of weird with it, which I like. Like in general, like I think what's made this trailer sell me more than the others is like I'm realizing that this isn't just a new side to the Breath of the Wild world. It's like they took the Breath of the Wild world and like fattened it up. Like they made it like 10 times more dense, because like a lot of these islands look like the size of the Great Plateau. Like they look really large. Like there might be a ton to do on each of them. And in the existing locations, they either have something new there or these new threats or enemies in there, and like all these new abilities you have. It really does seem like let's just make Breath of the Wild like but times 11.
I forgot one of the really standout things is we had what looks to be like a 3-headed dragon, might be a reference to Gleeok from Zelda 1.
Oh,
but it's ominously standing on a bridge and its head is on fire. It shouldn't be. Fire is hot.
Fire indeed hot.
But I'm really happy to see enemy variety. The only other thing I'm really wanting to see is dungeons.
Yeah, I feel like they know that's what we want.
Yeah,
and they're playing it close to the chest.
What's interesting is we haven't even seen this game's like shrine equivalent yet. Nonetheless, it's actual dungeons.
Yeah, they've been all out in the open world.
Which, like, I mean, they're not just gonna not have dungeons, which makes me think the fact that they're not showing it means they are mixing it up dramatically from the shrines. Like, I can't imagine them just, shrines again. Here you go.
Yeah. And obviously, it doesn't like the Divine Beasts play role. They kind of had the role of the story at the first one, and like, all right, so like, What is our equivalent? Where are the dungeons? Give me the dungeons.
I did notice something vaguely Divine Beast looking, like halfway through the trailer, where it's like you moving around this like little like gyroscope type thing to like move a giant piece in the sky in front of you. It looked kind of like Divine Beast technology, but it could be something different. So that it's at like 1 minute 30 seconds in the trailer, so that I'm interested in. But
Dude, I made the joke while me and Kirsten were reacting to it that like it looks like they kind of took all the speedrun tech into the game with like all of like the flying machines in the car.
And made it
Mhm.
real. The only thing I don't like about this trailer is there seems to be a very big emphasis on the Lizalfos, and I hate those motherfuckers. They're the worst enemy because they always like to come equipped with electric weapons, and I always had a metal shield or a metal sword, and they just ruined my life.
I have a question for y'all.
Mhm.
Do you think after this trailer, do you think Zelda still might be playable?
No.
Yes.
I have hope, if only because the one line at the end where Zelda says, "Please lend me your power," and I'm like, what does
What-
that mean?
What does that mean?
They ended on Zelda and Link with that line, and it leaves me so curious with so many questions.
That
Where
one shot of like Link with his like cursed arm and the way that he's sort of like coming in for like a handshake with what's probably Zelda's hand.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
like there it has to be something. The
I the one
don't
thing
want
is
to be
like,
disappointed though.
imagine how ridiculously cool it'd be if Zelda was playable in a mainline title for the first time ever, and they didn't spoil it. They just let you experience that for yourself. Like,
Yeah,
That
I
would be
just
pretty awesome.
I really want it to be true because I feel like I don't want this game to be Breath of the Wild again, where Zelda's just a voice in your mind.
mhm.
We
I
can't
need
do that
her.
again.
I need her to be more.
I majorly agree, especially after playing Age of Calamity, where she's basically the main character of that game. It's like,
Yeah.
please don't just put her in like the damsel in distress position again. Like, she doesn't need to be playable in my mind, but I just don't.
It would
I
be cool
want
if
her
she
to
had a
do.
role in the story period.
Yeah, like even if she's like stuck in that dumb pit and like even if she's stuck in there, but like is at least doing something in there where you can like occasionally meet up with her or like talk to her or something. Like maybe she's like, I have to research this forbidden technology or something. Like
It
that'd
would
be better than nothing.
it would be great if, if they're gonna keep her in the pit, fine. But let me run around as her. Let me solve
Mhm.
puzzles as her. Let me do this other side of the game that isn't just running around fighting things as Link. I
I
just
did see some underground looking places on the map, but like not a
Mhm.
ton of them. So I feel like they're hiding some of those. So like, what if you could explore those as Zelda? Like, in fact, one of the underground places they show, there's no playable character in view. So it's like, what if?
The speculation for this game, I mean, it's still coming out May 12th. We, uh, there's so much to chew on with this trailer.
I
I feel like I'm gonna eat up the speculation.
I
Mhm.
can't tell if I'm satisfied enough to not want to watch any more trailers or if I'm still itching to see more. It's
Yeah.
a hard line.
I
It's
wish this
always
was the trailer we got at like E3 2021.
Oh, I agree. Like I stand by like I mean so my thing was that I thought since either 2021 that the trailers for this game were not good. Like they weren't giving you any idea of like what you were actually playing. It was just, oh, there's I guess there's the sky. But when Splatoon 3 came out and that game also had terrible marketing, ended up being pretty decent and different. I was like, okay, I guess Nintendo just forgot how to market their big games. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna not think about Zelda until they actually give their final like trailer. And
Yeah, I think on some level they know, like we kind of don't need to market this that much.
that's true.
Was E3 2021 when we got the reveal trailer?
No, that was when we got the like Link falling through the air and like and like some of the like time dilation powers.
Yeah.
But we didn't get
Like-
the title yet.
Yeah, like basically it was like 2019 was the reveal that literally just showed like the Ganondorf corpse and like, oh, a sequel's coming, and 2021 showed the sky. Last year they revealed the title, and now we actually know what the game is.
It is a real video game that exists.
It has a car. I mean, there's always the the external news that dropped last night and was confirmed today.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I was debating pretty much right until this moment if we should talk about this or not, because I kind of don't want to end the show on the downer, but we're already talking about it. So this game's gonna be $70.
This is Nintendo's first party $70 game,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
I don't think that this is going to be the norm.
I certainly
Uh,
hope not, but
It Pikmin 4 costs $60. That's already confirmed. So
Okay.
it's not the
yeah.
norm,
Good.
at least.
The biggest takeaway is vouchers are now more valuable than ever.
Yeah. Thank God for vouchers.
I am someone who, I mean, recently it's been like half and half, but like I am someone who lost a lot of Nintendo DS cartridges. So on Nintendo Switch, I've been primarily digital. Adding back vouchers makes me happy. So I'll probably be getting this game on digital.
I feel like if you're not using a if you're already in on buying Tears of the Kingdom digitally, just buy a voucher. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
just buy a voucher.
I mean,
You're
you
losing
have
out
to
on that.
have NSO for it, but
Yeah, to go. I don't know.
Yeah.
Go buy like Fire Emblem Warriors for full price or something. Just buy whatever. As long as you're using that to buy Tears of the Kingdom, if you're gonna buy it digitally, you might as well use the voucher.
I
Yeah.
mean, like, my thing with the $70 price tag, and like I don't want to sound like I'm defending it, because I ideally games would be $60 and not go up in price for no reason. But this is also a game where, I mean, I think I don't buy games at launch often, but if I was going to buy a game at launch, it would probably be the sequel to Breath of the Wild. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's $10 extra. I'm gonna pay it anyway. And
I think any game from like half a year ago up to what we know is coming out, if one game was going to be $70, it would be Tears of the Kingdom.
Mhm.
That just makes, if you are going to charge $70 for your game, I think Tears of the Kingdom has the most arguments for it.
Yeah, I would for the most part. Yeah, like
Am I like straight up defending the fact that Nintendo is now going for the $10 increase? No, but if you were to make an argument for it, that would be the game.
there are a lot of $70 games that I like. The anecdote that I like to tell people is that like the $70 just makes it like kind of just enough of a like, all right, I don't want to impulse buy this. Like seeing
Mhm.
Forspoken in the store. If that was 60, I would have been like, okay, sure, whatever, I'll bite. But seeing it for 70, and I'm like it filters out the things that I'm unsure about. And I'm not unsure about
That's
Zelda.
kind of how I feel. Like, I mean, my thing is like, I was not a happy person when I saw that PS5 was charging $70 for games, but my response basically was just, okay, I'm not gonna buy games at launch anymore. Like, I mean, it sucks, but like, if it's a game I want enough, I don't really care if it's $10 extra. Like, when Spider-Man 2 comes out, I'm gonna be playing that even if I'm paying $70. Like, it's just more like, I'm not going to be paying $70 for like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart right at launch when it's something I don't know if I'll love as much as other people. So that's kind of where I don't like that price range.
Yeah, the bugbear is that this game is going to be $70 for the next like 20 years.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Nintendo games do not go on sale often, and they don't go on sale for much.
Mhm.
$40 is the bottom line for sales. I don't think I've ever seen a $60 Nintendo game ever go below $40 on like even a Black Friday.
Yeah, it would have to be.
So-
God, they need to bring back the Nintendo Selects line where they make some of the older generations.
I
stuff for, like,
agree.
$20.
I
mean,
would they need to? Sure. Will they? Probably
No.
not, because
the
we've been
games
saying
keep
that
selling.
for like
They have no incentive to.
I mean, like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe just passed 50 million copies sold, and it's not even halfway through its DLC. So it like, they're not going to drop that game's in price when it's just going to keep selling for the rest of time.
It just sucks.
It does.
It just sucks. I don't really have much to say on it. Kirstin, do you have anything to say about it?
No, it's. I just hope this isn't a continual thing.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to avoid. I should have brought it up first before getting into Zelda. So now we're ending the show on a downer note. But I think that's about it. Grade the direct. I don't care if you use a 10-point scale or like any sort of scale you want. Just how you feeling about the direct, Steven?
I like I said at the very start of the show, I think this is the best, if not one of the best directs. I would go A to A plus. That would be my grade.
Kirstin.
I honestly agree. This is, from start to finish, one of the most consistently fantastic directs, start to finish. It, if we're going rhythm game ranks, it'd be a triple S.
Jetty.
Okay, so I think what made this direct in particular special was that, I mean, there's been directs before that have had something for everyone. This direct had something for everyone, and everything they did have was like spectacular. It was like, okay, if you're a Metroid fan, you might get this game on NSO. No, you got Metroid Prime remastered out today. Like, or like, oh, you like Zelda? Here is the first good Tears of the Kingdoms trailer. Like, there's just so much variety, and so much of it was like genuinely exciting, even to someone who hasn't played them, like Ghost Trick. Like, I'm gonna do an A or a 9 out of 10. Like a 9 out of 10. I'll do the number ranking be different.
Yes. My personal hot, like just off the presses, I was like, this is a 12 out of 10 direct. I was floored. I don't know if I still think that way. Maybe 11 to 10. It was awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Kind of all killer, no filler. It feels like, for maybe the first time in a while. I don't know if y'all felt that way, but like, I don't know. There were very few things in that direct where I was just like, nah, that's a miss.
It's one of those ones where even the stuff that I personally didn't care about, where I might have like used it as a chance to like talk about previous announcements, it wasn't like bad. Like, I could care less about like the Tron Identity game, or
I will never play it. I guarantee you.
Like, it's a game I'm never gonna play, but I'm glad that it was announced and people were excited for it. It's not like I wasted time watching this direct with like 5 farming games. Not
it wasn't that horrible DC Supergirls game or whatever we got.
Yeah, like, we didn't have any games, at least in my opinion, we didn't have any games that really just didn't have any hype around them, or didn't look good at all.
And it might be too early to say this too, but like, I think of like last year's like spring direct, where they were like, it was exciting at the time because it was like, oh, Mario Strikers and Switch Sports and all these things that ended up coming out and were just kind of like not talked about or didn't have any content. And like, none of the stuff that's here seems like it's gonna end up aging poorly. Like, all these announcements are things that people are probably gonna love when they come out, or already love because they came out today.
Nothing like a good direct to just get the blood pumping.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness, this was so much fun. Oh, I can't believe I've hosted my first podcast ever. That's wild. I guess at the wrap up here, go around the table again. I want to let the people know where they can find you, what you're doing on the internet. It's sort of, Jenny, what do you do? Go show some stuff.
Oh, sure. I have my YouTube channel where I do video essays and like reviews and stuff. You can find me at youtube.com/JennyGeistVids, and I'll hopefully have my next big video about modern licensed games out by the beginning of next month, hopefully earlier. And you can also find me on Twitter at JennyGeist_ or Patreon at JennyGeist.
Make sure to support her on Patreon.
Thank you.
Steven.
You can find me at twitter.com/Steven Mattern0. So that's Mattern, no spaces. Look out for some reviews from me, probably about some of the stuff that was on this direct. At cube3.com.
Kirstin.
You can find me at Robobat on Twitter, ROBOBAT. And I'm just so ready for all of these games. So ready.
Yeah. I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter. Super easy to find. I was saying this is my first time hosting a podcast, but I actually co-host a podcast all about reading One Piece 5 chapters a week. That is with Derek Bittner from Good Vibes Gaming, and that's on his personal YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/BitNerdGames. I want to say, I don't know if it's off the top of my head, which I don't know. That's super fun. Also, like I said at the top of the show, I localize manga, which is a super weird thing. That's it. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Holy crap, we did it.
Yeah, we did it.
Woo-hoo. And of course, we got fucking Camilla.